This is the application process for the Permanent Community Impact Fund Board. The source of CIB's funding is mineral royalties returned to the state by the federal government. The Permanent Community Impact Fund Board provides loans and grants to eligible state agencies and subdivisions of the state which are or may be socially or economically impacted, directly or indirectly, by mineral resource development. Applications from ineligible applicants or applications for ineligible projects will not be accepted by the CIB staff, and the applicant will be notified of the ineligibility. Only those applications for funding assistance which are submitted by an eligible applicant for an eligible project can be funded by the board. A general guideline for eligible projects is listed here. The criteria the board uses in their decisions comes directly from the Utah State Code. Here is a partial listing of issues considered in the award process. The project must be on the Community Impact Board Capital Improvement List. This list is compiled yearly through the Regional Association of Government Offices and the CIB Regional Planner. The project application must be presented at a public hearing. At the hearing, the details of the project should be discussed, including the size, scope, and type of funding, grant, loan, or grant and loan, and the terms of any loan request. These are the regional divisions throughout the state. The capital improvement list is generated through these divisions. The Association of Government Office in the applicant's area should be notified of the application submission. CIB requires that comments from the AOG be submitted, either with the initial application or shortly thereafter. Planning applications require additional comments from the regional planner. Water and sewer projects require a supplemental form to be completed and submitted to DEQ. DEQ provides further review for the Community Impact Board. This is a view of the top portion of the CIB application first page. The title of the project should be concise, such as Town Community Center or Regional Senior Center. A project description at the end of the application will provide details concerning the project. Make certain this information is current. All contracts and correspondence will be generated using this information. The contact person should be a person affiliated with the applicant and who can answer questions concerning the application. The Federal Tax Identification Number is the number the applicant uses to do business and must be included on the application. The presiding official is the mayor, the chairman, the president in the case of municipal building authority or special service district, etc. You are not required to have an engineer, but if the project has been generated by an engineer, please list the engineer that has been or will be utilized for the project. The bond counsel is not your regular attorney. The application does not require a bond attorney to be listed, but applicants who are awarded a loan will need bond counsel to close the loans. All CIB loans are bonded. The CIB staff has a list of bond attorneys if needed. Applicant cash means actual dollars that the applicant has set aside for the project. All in-kind must have a demonstrable value. Time given to the application process by someone who already receives a paycheck from the applicant cannot be listed as in-kind. Other local cash is any other dollars given toward the project. Other local in-kind must have a tangible, verifiable value. Always specify the source of federal and state monies. State grant and loan is any state funding other than CIB. Total CIB funding is listed above the total project cost. Here is where the applicant itemizes the CIB request. The amount of loan request, percentage rate, and the number of years to pay back. Again, all loans are secured by bonds. General obligation bonds utilize taxpayer dollars, and a public hearing to provide information concerning taxpayer impact is required. If mineral lease revenues are pledged, the maximum loan term is 15 years. If Class B and C road revenues are pledged, the maximum loan term is 10 years. The applicant should consider the event of cost overruns and indicate what plans are in place if the project goes over budget. In the application, a reminder concerning the nature of in-kind funds is at the bottom of page 2. The CIB has a guideline that limits awards to a total of $5 million. Cost estimates for any project are important and should be fairly current. List all labor and materials for the project under construction. It is helpful to give some detail here. List all engineering costs. Be aware that there is a cost inherent in bonding and closing loans. Those are allowable costs and can be included under administration. Check the math. The totals on page 2 and page 3 should equal. The board requests some information concerning the financial situation of the applicant. The current year total budget for the applicant is listed on page 4. If some of the budget comes from the general fund, list it. Though there are only 2 lines for listing of property tax in this presentation, on the actual application it allows for 5 years. List any general obligation debt being paid back by the applicant. If the assessed valuation is not known, call the county assessor for the assessed valuation. Line 4B minus line 4C will indicate your geodebt capacity. On page 5 of the application, list all outstanding debt for the applicant. List the purpose, the amount, interest rate, date the debt was issued, when it is due, and who holds the bond. Subsequent lines allow for listing the yearly payment for each debt. The list goes to 20 years. If the debt is longer, list last payment at the end. Review the checklist for submission. The board will not receive incomplete applications for review. Here the registration means applicant registration in web grants. If the applicant has already registered for previous projects, please do not register again. The official signature must be affiliated with the applicant and should be the mayor, chairman, president, etc. An abbreviated application can be submitted to meet the deadline, but incomplete applications will not be heard until all the requirements are met. The project description allows the applicant to give project details. Describe the who and the situation at hand. Describe the what, and when describing the what, give details like where, linear feet, size of pipe, etc. Attach photos, maps, floor plans. And in the why, give the reason the application is being made. It is required that notification be given to the State Historic Preservation Office. If the application is for remodeling an existing structure, it may be of historical significance. If ground is being disturbed that has been undisturbed, it might have an artifact or other historical marker. Neither the applicant nor the staff can determine historical impact. Cities and towns with a population over 1,000 should have a plan for affordable housing. A statement concerning the plan is sufficient. Do not include the plan. Water and sewer projects require additional comment and vetting. The CIB requires applicants of water and sewer projects to submit a supplemental form to DEQ. The form is located on the CIB website listed here. Michael Georgeson is the contact for culinary water projects. Beth Wandamu is the contact for sewer projects. Email addresses and site links are also listed. The CIB has deadlines, and those deadlines are definite. The applicant must have a copy of the application to the CIB staff by close of business on the deadline date, and should also send a copy to the applicable AOG. The original application with the original signature must be received prior to board review. The CIB has implemented a trimester cycle for funding. June 1, October 1, and February 1 are the deadlines for applications. These deadlines are linked to the fiscal year. Review meetings for applications begin the following month after each deadline. At review meetings, the application is presented by the applicant and discussed by the board. Applications are not funded at the review meeting. It is at the funding meetings, which are June, October, and February, that the board votes to give final approval for that trimester's applications. At the review meeting, an applicant may be asked questions concerning their project. Charts can be presented to clarify the project, but a lengthy presentation is not necessary. The board has already received a copy of the application to review. Any handouts submitted to staff after the board package has been sent to the printer, which is usually 2 weeks prior to the meeting, will not be printed for the board by the staff. The applicant can bring the handout to the meeting. At the review meeting, applications can be denied. When an application is denied, no further action will be taken. Applications can be placed on a pending list, which means there are items that need to be resolved. Applications can be placed on the priority list, which indicates that the application is ready for final approval at the funding meeting. The board may also suspend and fund in the event of a bona fide emergency. The funding meeting is where final authorization for funding is given. However, if there are still issues with a project for any reason, the board can place it on the pending list or deny it. The board generally authorizes funding for the amount and terms discussed at the review meeting. The board can hear and act on an application which is not on the capital improvement list and or has come in as an emergency with a very compelling reason. This is referred to as special consideration. The board may also authorize funding quickly at any review meeting by suspending its normal rules and funding to expedite resolution of an emergency situation. If there are any questions concerning this process or the Community Impact Board, the CIB staff is available.